the two biggest threats to your marriage. Welcome to the Morrow Marriage podcast, guys, where it's real, raw, uncensored, and anointed. Pair of five. Okay, guys, today I want to talk about the two biggest threats to your marriage. Now, I'm doing this because I posted on social media and it was on this topic and mega viral. And I think I picked up 7,500 followers on our Facebook page, Morrow Marriage, in this 1 week. And it was because of this post. So I thought, you know what, we should go a lot deeper on this topic for you guys. So the two biggest threats to your marriage are simple. The first one is the destruction of peace in your home. And the second one is safe reacting. Now, it's going to sound funny because when I teach you about safe reacting today, which is something that I created, I developed, when you understand it, you're going to see how it feeds into the first. Okay. So peace, destruction of peace in your home. You guys, everybody gets together and they're fully in love. They're available. They're excited. There's so much respect. Nobody cares who's interrupting who. You know, ping, 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 ping is how we like to describe it when you're having great conversations. And this is why, you know, you are having conversations when you're dreaming, when you're achieving together, when it makes sense and you're reaching goals and you're you know, step by step supporting each other, lifting each other, you're fucking each other's brains out. You have peace. Because you're having conversations, you're not communicating, okay? Now, why this is important is because life will get in the way, okay? Things will happen. The most common, you've heard us talk about it before, is simple when you decide what the roles are gonna be when you have children, okay? And these new little loves of your life come in and it's exhausting. You weren't prepared for emotions. I don't think any mother or father truly gets it until you have the two tornadoes and hurricane running around, screaming at you, blowing hot air at you, all this crap, okay? But what happens is you start to take things personal, right? You're not available. And this could be, guys, this could be career. This could be, some people just have hobbies and they don't, you know, prioritize each other properly, you know, friends, families, in-laws is massive, especially also your own. If your own family seems more important than your spouse, to your spouse, there goes the peace, okay? So as you understand that the destruction of peace comes from so many things, but the principle of it really is that you no longer live in a world where your partner is everything. You're in a world where you feel like you're nothing to your partner, meaning they don't give you the respect you deserve. They don't give you and meet your needs. They don't try as hard as you. They don't, you know, ultimately, you start to pull back because you take things personal because you don't like hurting. You then start to blame your partner, whatever that looks like. It could be talking about yourself and lifting yourself, boosting yourself up. You know, provider might say, well, I work all the time, right? A mom might say, well, I work all the time and I have kids, you know, and see right there, we're just defending ourselves and we're lifting ourselves up. Okay? Defensiveness. And it gets real bad when you start to shift and throw blame, start to dump guilt, to start to attack with shame, and start to talk about what you deserve and what they're not doing correctly. All of this takes your conversations and starts to turn it to attacks. So there's not even communication now, okay? And then when you try to repair, because you feel the peace is gone, right? Then you start to try to communicate. Again, that's not what worked. We already know that. We've established that. Yet you do what the world tells you and you try to communicate. Now, there is some part of that that's important. When you're doing proper communication, you're not getting defensive. Proper communication. Right? So you're asking more questions. You know, so say, you know, let's pretend Kathryn and I didn't connect for a week sexually, okay? You know, I'm not going to go talk to my wife about that. I'm going to like actually make a move. I'm actually going to flirt. I'm going to provide structure for where I want to go. Okay. And you guys are sitting there trying to communicate. Well, it's been a week. And here's that destruction of peace where you start to go, you know, I have needs. You know, I don't feel connected to you. I don't feel, and then what happens to me? Then I would probably get defensive and I'd start giving all these different reasons and excuses to justify why I haven't connected. I'm working on that. You know, I did this for you. I did that for you. And see, the peace withers away. Okay. And this is foundational baseline peace. We're not even talking about conflict. Not even, no, that's a whole nother episode. This is just where conflict arises because as the peace is destroyed in your home. As intimacy starts to fade, remember, I'm not talking about just sex. I'm talking about intimate conversations. Just the way the way you understand each other. One of the last episodes we filmed, we talked about being on the same letter, same page, okay? That can only happen when you are true partners. That can only be available to you if you don't let the peace get destroyed, if you don't let it erode slowly. And then if you don't understand what to do, you're just going to try to repair it, and you can't repair peace. No, you have to create a new life and bring peace in. There is no such thing as repairing peace. You guys got to understand this right now. The damage is done. We're not saving that marriage. We have to create a new, peaceful, safe, loving environment over here, and then invite your partner in. Okay? I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care if you're talking about violent words. I don't care if you're talking about violence. I don't care if you're talking about sexual abuse. I don't care if you're talking about divorce papers, affairs. I don't care. If you want the step-by-step rather than listening to episode and try to put the pieces together, my book is Disrupting Divorce by Cass Morrow, The New Man Saving Struggling Sexless Toxic Marriages, and Kathryn's is Behind the White Picket Fence, Keeping Families Together by Kathryn Morrow. Guys, head to Amazon and go get your life. If you want more, you must not victimize yourself, create peace, and bring it back. Okay, the second thing that is destroying your marriage, the biggest threat to your marriage, is simple: safe reactions. Okay,
and safe reactions are anything but safe.
Safe reactions. The reason why I call it safe reactions is because it's an acronym, SAFE. We'll go through it, but you are trying to protect yourself because you don't feel the peace in your home. You don't like it. So when we talk about when you were defensive, for example, long before you start to attack your partner and throw the blame, you start to protect yourself. Okay? This is where the blame comes from, because you don't like feeling like you're not good enough. Why doesn't my partner try as hard as me? Why don't they love? They said they want this and I'm following them around. Do they actually want me? Why do they want space? And you start to get all insecure, anxiety, fear, and you start to try to shut down and provide peace for yourself because you don't like feeling this way. So safe reacting, sabotage, that is like coping mechanisms. And that could be anything, guys. That could be the normal alcohol. That could be Netflix and alcohol. That could be drugs. That could be diving into work for you successful entrepreneurs. Trust me, I know that one.
Anything you're using to cope. Anything that could be a sabotage.
Porn,
stonewalling,
things.
Giving the cold shoulder. Anything.
The A in safe reacting is when you start making decisions for moving your marriage forward, so trying to repair peace, okay?
Tell them what the A stands for.
But it's A for approval, or maybe you're looking for not getting disapproval, okay? So if you are trying to make a decision following the person who's checked out, that's asking a broke person how to make money, okay? You're trying to get their approval. I'm going to act this way. I'm going to act this way because I want to make sure that it's happy wife or happy husband, happy life. And then you're really doing it not in a way that's authentic, not in a way that's real, not in a way that's going to ever repair peace, because you're busy trying not to feel bad about yourself, trying not to make a mistake and get disapproval, okay? F, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Why don't you take this one? Because you love this one. Yeah.
So I love talking about this. I really need to learn more about the brain, but it has to do with the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. And when you go into this state, you're no longer functioning in a logical, rational state. And you go into one of these four: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Women will often fawn because men are, in general, more aggressive verbally than women. Okay. Yes, men, just in general, there's more fight. It doesn't mean that that's always the case, but I certainly learned how to fawn because my husband really would present the fight. Flight, I was really good at flight, actually. The only reason I learned to fawn was because I would try to leave and he wouldn't let me leave. And so I had to learn what to do, and I would fawn or I would fight. But everyone is going to naturally be inclined to go in one of those different directions. And if you can't go in the direction that you're most inclined to go in, then you're going to learn another one. And you might even learn how to do all four. And so when you're responding in this way, please know this isn't the way that you would respond if you weren't overwhelmed, if you weren't flooded, if you weren't triggered. If none of that was happening and you were operating in the person that you are, using the skills and tools that you know you have, and you're not overwhelmed and your brain is firing, you're not going to operate in your lizard brain. The reason they call it the lizard brain is because lizards don't have a prefrontal cortex. They're not logical. They're not rational. They go into Flight, oftentimes, what happens when you see a lizard? What does it do?
Run!
It runs because it sees a threat and it runs.
Get to the chopper!
Right. And then there's a lion. What does a lion do? Fight.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other ones that, in the animal kingdom that would freeze. And then it's humans that fawn.
And what I think is really fascinating after thousands of couples is what we've seen is when you start to think about restoring the peace or repair, even if you haven't really done any work, maybe you've read a book, listen to a podcast, whatever, but you just start the thought process, okay? What will happen is you'll start to navigate to something different. So I would often fight when I thought life was better, when I thought things were good before Kathryn really said, this ain't working, and the quote unquote rug got pulled out. I wasn't so much fight anymore, but when I fought, it was still my natural and it was still potentially dangerous, okay? And then I would often shut down. That would be a form of flight. I would often just retreat.
Freeze.
I would often just freeze. I would just, no, you do whatever, and I would just go retreat and go back to sabotage. I'd be drinking in the garage and smoking all night and just ignore whatever life was happening. Okay, so it's what I really think is fascinating is what we found is when you start to think about repairing is you will flip back and forth. You won't know. You're like, well, I'm a lot of guys I talk to on the phone. Well, I don't get angry anymore. I don't yell. And I'm like, okay, but now you shut down. Okay, so when we start to realize that, that's just as dangerous because you're protecting yourself and you're not moving your marriage forward. Okay, and the last one is E, enforcing boundaries. I say enforcing boundaries because you're creating boundaries for yourself because the world tells you that's what you should do. Unfortunately, what you have to understand is two parts to this. One, you're not actually enforcing boundaries. You're going to say something you don't mean. I'm going to use the easiest example on the planet. For those of you who have separated, you'll understand this, okay? How many times do I speak to a man in a week? Probably 15, that a man says, I'm not at home. I'm on the couch. She kicked me out. But half of those men almost always agreed with the separation, agreed with the boundary, okay, and therefore enforced his own boundary. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to be with you, right? I would do that to you all the time. When I talk about our separations,
he was the king.
It's 7 separations.
Plus sleeping on the couch 700 times.
Yeah, I say 200%, who fucking knows? The amount of times I would be like, I'm sleeping on the couch. That's it. I'm done with you. It's over. That's creating a boundary, okay? And the problem with that is that's not what I actually want. Just like these guys on the phone. That's not what they want.
Idiot. Jeez, so, you almost lost me, honey.
Never.
No, never.
So
I'm not letting you go.
No. So if you understand this, the first part of enforcing boundary is that you create boundaries. Don't speak to me that way or I won't have a conversation with you. And then what? Your partner comes at you, so you jump back in again. You jump on the crazy train, and often you start driving the crazy train. Your boundary is bullshit. Number one, okay? Number two, you're not in a position to lay a boundary, to use a boundary, or what we would call a part of our system, inspire, lead, ask, and you do a lot of asks, and then motivate with a boundary, okay?
Because your partner cares about how you feel. Your partner doesn't care, then your partner's not going to be motivated. Mm-hmm. I didn't care when he would sleep on the couch. There was no connection. Our marriage was in turmoil. So it's not motivating me when he's like,
she's like, all right, sweet.
Thanks, I was like, dude, I get the bed to myself. Great. Yeah. It's not motivating me to do anything except for have a nice sleep by myself in my king size bed.
That's right. So what you have to understand is if your partner is not on board with you, if you have not shown up is the first part of that equation, your boundary is fucking useless. I don't care what the world says. I don't care. You can definitely handle things if someone's being physical, let's say, because they can be angry, but they can't smash iPads or kick each other in the nuts. Okay?
Kick each other in the nuts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can set boundaries if you are unsafe. At any point, if you feel emotionally or physically unsafe, set a boundary, have the consequence, leave, get out of there.
Here's the problem, though. You're not going to follow through more than likely, right? Like take your Roger Rabbit's wife, right? Like she wasn't going to leave. She was not.
So she didn't say she was going to leave. That's a good. She wasn't going to come in and say, "Hey, if you keep doing this, I'm going to leave." She didn't say that because she can't follow through. So don't set a boundary. Also, this same couple, any couple, I wrote it in my book. I think I put a period between each word. You can set a boundary with your husband, but if you're not connected, he period does period not period care exclamation point. He does not care. Why would he care about your boundary? Oh, you're going to sleep on the couch? Okay, have a nice sleep.
That's the problem. You guys, when you start to do this you're trying to protect yourself, safe reaction, keep yourself safe. Mm-hmm. And if your partner doesn't respect you or doesn't care, isn't connected, all of these things, why would they respect your boundary? Like if you can't wrap your head around this, you will continue to fail. So you will continue to provide an underlying disastrous threat to your marriage, backing up the loss of peace that you had in the first place. And if you can't wrap your head around it, it's because you don't have the tools to move forward. You know, we would teach response, not reaction, anxiety training, you know, clear understanding of so many things and so many steps that fall into place. Because when you can do this, you're showing up as the person that you want to be. You're creating the life that you want to have, and you offer, invite, comes long before motivate with boundary, and you better have patience. You better have patience. Nobody believes changes are real because inherently people change for each other, not for themselves, which means, when are these changes? Like, when's the shoe gonna drop? How long until the shoe drops? Why didn't you do this 10 years ago? I don't trust you. I don't believe you. Why would I fall for this again? All of these things are normal, male or female. It doesn't matter, okay? So if you can understand that, you can start to go, okay, cool. Now, no more safe reacting. No more conversations about peace. Fucking create the life that you want. That's it. And invite, offer. And like Kathryn says, we'd be crazy to leave each other. Like, we'd be fucking nuts.
We'd be nuts. Especially me. I would be crazy to leave you.
You are not the only one. You know, you guys have to realize, like, it's not work when you get there. It's work to get there. But then when you love your job, you don't call it work. If you love your business, you don't call it your business. As a oh crap, you call it my baby. It's hard for you to let go of things, right? Man, I would never let you go.
No, you'd be, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Plus, all you guys are so unsafe. You need a freaking podcast. I wouldn't want to be in an unpeaceful place. Guys, please leave us a 5-star review. If you haven't noticed yet, unbelievable. I posted a story post in about 14 months, 120,000 downloads to the episode. And now it's been 4 weeks since at the time of recording this, by the time you hear this. Unbelievable. That doesn't happen with podcasts. Thank you so much for the support. A 5-star review will help us tremendously. On that note, if you just go to Amazon, please, if you bought my book or Kathryn's book, a 5-star review and why, please, let's get this information into the hands of more people faster. We've done a remarkable job with the support of you guys. Let's go change people's lives. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.